And I told him that I didn't want to come back. It was the most peaceful place that I...
When Scott crossed the threshold between life and death, he was enveloped in feelings that would forever transform his understanding of existence, mortality, and love. His journey into the afterlife and the profound enlightenment he discovered there became the guiding light that would shape every moment of his life thereafter. What extraordinary visions did he witness in that sacred space? And how did this experience touch his soul and change him in ways he could never have imagined?
My wife, we are together, and that we are one.
The fear of death. For most people, death is seen as a mysterious and terrifying end. It's something that lurks in the back of the mind, influencing decisions and shaping how life is lived. This fear can stem from various sources: the fear of pain, the fear of leaving loved ones behind, or the fear of the unknown afterlife. For centuries, religious, cultural, and philosophical traditions have tried to make sense of death, yet it remains the great unknown, fueling humanity's collective anxiety. This fear became even more pronounced during events like the COVID-19 pandemic. With millions of lives lost globally, many found themselves confronting the possibility of death in ways they hadn't before. For some, the thought of an untimely demise became a constant worry, shaping their behaviors and interactions. However, there are those whose fear of death has been transformed by personal experiences. Near-death experiences have long fascinated psychologists, spiritual leaders, and researchers alike. Many people who have died briefly and been revived report feelings of profound peace and clarity during their near-death experiences, a stark contrast to the fear they might have once felt about dying. Scott Drummond, who had such an experience, explained that during the brief moments of death, he felt an incredible sense of belonging and calm, a far cry from the panic or terror that many associate with the end of life. After returning to life, he no longer feared death, but saw it as a natural transition rather than a terrifying end. This sentiment is echoed by many who have had similar experiences. How did Scott end up in this situation? From chaos to calm. Scott's life took an unexpected turn at the age of 28, while working for the government and traveling extensively across the United States. At that time, he was not particularly religious, and his marriage was strained due to his constant absence, leaving his wife to handle many responsibilities on her own. He tended to focus on his business successes, thinking life revolved around him. One Christmas weekend, Scott returned home to spend time with his family and decided to go skiing in Park City, Utah. The day was perfect, and the experience was beautiful. However, around 11 o'clock, a woman skiing down the slope collided with their group in the lift line. They helped her up and got her back on her way. After that, Scott continued skiing without any immediate awareness of what had transpired or any pain, as the cold kept him numb. By the end of the day, when Scott and his family returned to their car, they discovered that his left thumb was hanging at an odd angle. Although it didn't hurt much due to the cold, the pain intensified once they were inside the car. They called the emergency center from Park City, and Scott's wife quickly arranged for him to get to the hospital. Upon arriving at the emergency room, the medical team, including a surgeon and a nurse, was ready to address Scott's dislocated thumb. The situation was critical, with the thumb only being held in place by the skin. A tourniquet with air pressure was applied to his arm, a technique new to the nurse, but the surgeon guided her through the process. They adjusted the pressure to ensure Scott didn't feel the procedure. As the operation progressed, Scott felt increasing pressure in his arm, which was uncomfortable. When he asked the nurse to relieve the pressure, she opened the valve, which eased his discomfort. However, she inadvertently left the valve open, causing an unsettling sensation as he felt something move up his arm and toward his heart. At that moment, Scott experienced a remarkable sensation of hovering above his body. He observed himself lying on the operating table, watched the surgeon work, and noted the commotion in the room. Despite the chaos, the surgeon remained calm and composed, which impressed him. A mysterious presence accompanied him, communicating through thoughts rather than words, providing a sense of comfort and peace. Even now, Scott reflects on that serene feeling and recognizes the presence's voice if he were to hear it again. The experience left him with a profound sense of calm and reassurance. Journey to an enchanting realm. Many people believe in guardian angels, and now Scott is one of them. There was someone in the surgery room who performed a remarkable procedure. This person expertly placed a pin directly into Scott's thumb bone to stabilize it. Scott noticed that the pin protruded slightly more than expected, but this person adjusted it, cutting it so it wouldn't stick out through the skin. When it was time for Scott to leave, he felt an unseen presence guiding him, and he sensed it was time to go. Though he didn't know where he was heading, the transition felt like an instant, and soon he found himself in a breathtaking open field. The field was unlike anything Scott had ever seen. The grass was tall, reaching up to his waist, and it moved not with the wind, but as if it flowed with a life of its own. The sensation of the grass brushing against him was enchanting, as if it was imbued with love. Scott felt an overwhelming sense of affection emanating from the grass, something he couldn't quite explain but deeply felt. He was instructed by the presence never to look back, but to look around instead. To his left, he saw a forest of extraordinary trees. Their massive trunks were awe-inspiring, and the leaves at the tops were vibrant with colors beyond anything he had ever seen on Earth. The green of the leaves was more intense than he could have imagined, and the bark was a rich, beautiful shade of brown. To the right of the forest, wildflowers stood at waist height, their colors so vivid and unique that Scott had never encountered them before. The entire scene was a stunning display of nature's splendor, far surpassing anything he had experienced in his earthly life. Scott had never felt a connection to nature quite like this before. For the first time, he sensed a profound love emanating from every flower, plant, and tree around him. It was as if the entire world was alive and brimming with warmth. This feeling wrapped him in an immense peace. When asked to describe the colors he saw, words fell short. Nothing could capture their essence. He stood in awe, initially disoriented about his location and purpose. The inability to look back hinted that he might be beyond life. Yet, he felt an overwhelming sense of calm, like being enveloped in a tender embrace from a loving parent. It was akin to drifting through a soft, close-knit cloud, distinctly different from anything he'd known. Others might call it a veil, glowing with a graceful pearly white that was both pure and dazzling. What happened next was profoundly moving and difficult to express. Scott experienced a mental replay of his life, not a mere projection, but a vivid, immersive review of his actual experiences. This life movie spanned from his birth to age 28. He saw his childhood, the dedication of his parents, and the moments shared with his siblings. He relived his accomplishments and mistakes, including a painful realization about how he had treated his wife. His focus had been selfish, chasing personal success and wealth, while neglecting his family's needs. The experience was eye-opening and transformative. In the relentless pursuit of business success, he had often overlooked the importance of kindness and support. This revelation was strikingly clear. Scott could have been a better person, but had failed to do so. When the video ended, Scott was left alone with his reflections, without anyone to confide in or seek forgiveness from. It was a stark, undeniable reality that would forever alter his perspective. Scott had come to terms with what had happened. Yet, there was something important he wanted everyone to understand. It was all done with love. On Earth, perfection is out of reach. We're all learning and growing each day. The best we can do is learn from our errors. At this stage in life, Scott hoped to return to his Father in heaven with a more honorable record. He recalled the warm presence that had accompanied him. It was a comforting, loving feeling. When everything came to an end, Scott sat for a while, and he noticed that the comforting presence to his left had vanished. He was alone, and he knew his earthly journey had ended. He realized there was no turning back. Then, a voice echoed in his mind, urging him to move forward. He stepped ahead, fully aware that whatever was to come next was real and inevitable. Approaching a cloud, he saw an arm emerge from within it. The arm was notable not for its appearance, but for its lack of color. It wasn't white, brown, or black. It simply radiated a purity that transcended color. Scott's eyes fixed on the hands emerging from the misty cloud. These hands were noticeably larger than his own, hinting that more than one presence awaited him beyond that veiled barrier. A profound feeling washed over him, suggesting that the world on the other side of the cloud was far more intricate and awe-inspiring than he had ever imagined. As he reached out toward the hand extending through the cloud, it abruptly retracted. A voice, clear and authoritative, resonated. "It's not your time yet. You have more to do." The message was unmistakable and vivid. "It's not your time yet. You have more to do." With those words, the hand vanished and the voice fell silent. In the blink of an eye, Scott was jolted back into his physical body, lying on the operating table as the medical team wheeled him out of the sterile environment of the operating room. Within him, his body was engulfed in a fierce and tumultuous struggle, a battle that made him reluctant to return. He had glimpsed hues of color previously unknown to him, felt a depth of love that surpassed anything he had ever known, and experienced a profound peace that defied description. A life of purpose. Scott lay on the operating table with a sheet draped over his head and a paper resting on his chest declaring that he had been clinically dead for 20 minutes. The death certificate had already been filled out. As he managed to lift the sheet from his head, the sudden movement startled the doctor and the nurses, who were taken aback by the unexpected sight. As they wheeled him past the waiting room, where his wife anxiously waited, she remained completely unaware of the dramatic turn of events unfolding right before her eyes. The surgeon reassured her, saying that the operation had gone well and that he had been successfully brought back. Although Scott couldn't pinpoint the exact duration of his experience, he was unquestionably certain of its authenticity and profound impact. Scott's wife experienced something entirely different from what he did that day. While Scott was immersed in a profound, beautiful experience, she was gripped with fear. She was thinking about their 3 kids, wondering what she would do if her husband didn't make it. Her world felt like it was crashing down, filled with uncertainty and dread. Meanwhile, Scott was witnessing something so magnificent that he didn't want to earn. He felt such peace in that realm that the thought of coming back seemed unnecessary. However, Scott understood that there was a reason he was sent back, to learn something he hadn't grasped before. He realized that in many ways he had been living selfishly. This revelation struck him deeply, and although the beauty he had experienced was indescribable, he knew there was more for him to learn and accomplish on Earth. For 3 days following the extraordinary event, Scott experienced a serene calm that seemed almost surreal. It was a profound sense of peace that felt so tangible and perfect that he yearned to capture that feeling each day. However, Scott chose not to discuss this sacred experience with anyone, fearing that it might be trivialized or dismissed. The experience was so vivid and real in his life that he couldn't shake the feeling it was more than a mere dream. Each day he replayed the memory in his mind, seeking to understand the depth of what had occurred. Despite several attempts to share his story with others, their lack of interest or understanding led him to keep his experience private for a staggering 40 years. Then, a few years ago, amid the upheaval caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, Scott felt compelled to bring his story to light. He saw it as an opportunity to offer others a glimpse into the profound revelations he had encountered. This experience made him reflect on his purpose on Earth, to learn, grow, and connect meaningfully with those around him. While he did not consider himself exceptional, the experience had imparted a deep sense of humility. Connie, Scott's wife of 47 years, had heard snippets of his story over the decades. Their long journey together, raising 4 children and enjoying the company of 12 grandchildren, had given her a profound understanding of Scott's character. When she suggested that the time had come for him to share his story more openly, Scott was hesitant. He worried about how his experience would be perceived and whether it might be dismissed as trivial. Connie reassured him, affirming that people would recognize the truth in his words. Scott, guided by his faith, prayed for clarity, asking if he was meant to share his experience with others, including his family. In his prayer, he received a clear message. It's all about the one. Though the exact meaning of this message was elusive, it inspired him to take the brave step of sharing his story. Over the years, Scott delved deeply into the teachings of the Bible and other spiritual texts, seeking to understand this divine message. What he discovered reshaped his life and gave him a new mission. As Scott explored the Bible, he was struck by a central theme: the notion of the one. Christ's teachings, he realized, were not merely about the miraculous acts and parables, but about a profound connection with the divine. Christ spoke of doing and saying things that reflected the will of the one. He spoke of preparing a place in his Father's house with many mansions, suggesting a realm of infinite love and peace with the one. This concept of unity and purpose became a cornerstone of Scott's newfound perspective. Scott shared with his wife that if he could help even one person with his story, his life would be worthwhile. This resolve gave him a sense of purpose. The stories he heard from others around the world, recounting their own near-death experiences and spiritual encounters, were nothing short of incredible. Many of these stories mirrored his own, while others took different forms. Yet, a common thread emerged: an overwhelming sense of love and peace. Scott felt deeply honored to listen to these narratives, finding that the universal experience of love transcended cultural and personal differences. Scott's extraordinary gifts. People often ask Scott what he learned from his experience and if he gained any special abilities upon returning. While he acknowledges that he has not mastered all aspects of his spiritual journey, he recognizes that some extraordinary gifts have been bestowed upon him. One of the most remarkable gifts he received was the ability to block pain. Since his accident, Scott discovered that he could mentally block out pain, a phenomenon he considers both a blessing and a challenge. This gift has made medical procedures more manageable, allowing him to undergo treatments without the usual discomfort. However, it also presents a unique challenge when communicating with healthcare providers, as he must find ways to describe his sensations despite his ability to control them. Scott's experiences also altered his perception of color. He describes an ability to taste colors, a sensation that might sound unusual but is deeply meaningful to him. He perceives colors not just as visual stimuli, but as expressions of love. For Scott, the vividness of blue, red, or yellow is intertwined with an emotional resonance that transcends mere sight. This heightened sensitivity to color is not just a perception, but a profound understanding of how colors convey emotional and spiritual messages. Another intriguing gift Scott received is the ability to witness the growth of plants from seeds. He can place a seed in his hand and observe it sprout, grow, and eventually bear fruit. This remarkable ability allows him to see the entire life cycle of a plant in real time, experiencing its growth and transformation intimately. He can even taste the fruit or vegetable as it develops, an experience that connects him deeply with the natural world. Additionally, Scott has developed a remarkable connection with what he describes as his guardian angel or spirit, a guiding presence that helps him navigate daily life and touch the lives of others. This connection has become a cornerstone of his approach to living meaningfully, and he is driven by a mission to assist others in finding their own sense of purpose and joy. One of the most significant lessons Scott has learned is the importance of focusing on the present rather than dwelling on the past. Reflecting on past mistakes or missed opportunities can be a source of frustration and regret. Instead, Scott emphasizes the need to celebrate life as it is right now. He encourages people to let go of regrets and start fresh with each new day. This mindset shift has allowed Scott to appreciate the present moment and look forward to the future with optimism. Scott's message is simple yet profound: be kind. He believes that small acts of kindness can make a significant difference in someone's life. Whether it's offering a kind word to a friend, showing appreciation to a colleague, or extending a helping hand to a stranger, these gestures have the power to uplift and inspire. Scott understands that many people carry emotional burdens, and may appear defensive or guarded. However, he has found that love and kindness have a calming effect, breaking down barriers and fostering positive connections. His near-death experience also deepened Scott's understanding of prayer. What he finds remarkable about prayer is its simplicity. It's not about elaborate rituals or complex requests. It's about asking for help with sincerity and gratitude. Scott has discovered that when he reaches out for assistance, the support he receives often exceeds his expectations. He describes this phenomenon as a form of divine abundance, where asking for help results in receiving much more than anticipated. Another crucial aspect of Scott's approach to life is setting priorities. He believes that defining what is truly important each day is essential for personal growth and fulfillment. While goal setting is a common business practice, Scott emphasizes its importance in everyday life as well. By setting clear intentions and writing them down, he creates a roadmap for his actions and decisions. This practice helps him stay focused on what truly matters and ensures that his efforts align with his values and aspirations. Scott's perspective on goals extends beyond material wealth. He believes that true success and fulfillment come from pursuing meaningful experiences and relationships, rather than accumulating riches. It's about finding purpose in what you do and making a positive impact on the world around you. Scott encourages others to define their own goals based on their passions, values, and the legacy they wish to leave behind. In sharing his story and insights, Scott hopes to inspire others to embrace their own potential and seek a deeper connection with their inner selves and the world around them. He acknowledges that everyone faces challenges and moments of doubt, but he firmly believes that through kindness, gratitude, and purposeful living, individuals can find meaning and joy even amid adversity. Ultimately, Scott's journey reflects a profound transformation from a life focused on personal success to one centered on compassion, faith, and purpose. His experience has taught him that life is not about dwelling on past mistakes or striving for material wealth, but about celebrating each moment, helping others, and setting meaningful goals. By living in alignment with these principles, Scott has found a sense of fulfillment and a renewed sense of purpose that he is eager to share with others. Scott acknowledges that these abilities are gifts, and he feels a profound sense of gratitude for them. He encourages others to soften their perceptions and open their minds to the possibilities that lie beyond ordinary experience. According to Scott, by tuning in and allowing oneself to see beyond the surface, individuals can access a richer, more vibrant world. Scott hopes to inspire others to explore their spiritual journeys and to recognize the profound beauty and love that exists beyond the physical realm. His experiences have taught him that the divine presence is not distant or abstract, but intimately connected to every moment of our lives. By embracing this perspective, Scott believes that everyone can find a deeper sense of purpose, peace, and connection. Kindness, apology, and gratitude. Each morning, when Scott awakens, he starts the day with a commitment to make a positive difference in someone's life. His approach is simple yet profound, grounded in 3 core principles that guide him daily. These are being kind to others, striving to be a shining example, and demonstrating that there is something greater awaiting us beyond this life. Scott is aware that not everyone shares this optimistic outlook. He acknowledges that some individuals are deeply unhappy and may even contemplate suicide. He doesn't shy away from these realities or pretend they don't exist. Instead, Scott chooses to surround himself with positive people, believing that their influence is more constructive and uplifting. He recognizes that it's often those who are most vocal in their negativity who contribute to the world's problems. By opting for positivity, Scott aims to be a part of the solution rather than the problem. One of Scott's core beliefs is the power of apology. He emphasizes the importance of addressing conflicts directly, saying, if we ever disagree with someone, we can go to that person and say, I'm sorry for how I treated you. Although admitting fault can be daunting, Scott believes it is a crucial step in healing relationships. It might be uncomfortable, but the act of apologizing is genuine and necessary. Whether the conflict is with a family member, a common scenario given that families don't always get along, or a friend. Resolving these issues can forge bonds that last a lifetime, or even extend into eternity. Scott is particularly moved by the dedication of frontline workers, including nurses, doctors, police officers, firefighters, and paramedics. He views them as heroes, deeply grateful for their selfless service. In a world rife with deceit and suffering, he finds solace in the actions of these individuals and the broader kindness exhibited by many. Scott encourages people to embrace small acts of kindness, such as sharing a smile, as these simple gestures can make a significant difference in someone's life. He urges everyone to listen to their hearts and act on their impulses to help others, reinforcing his belief that even the smallest acts of compassion can have a profound impact. Reflecting on his own journey, Scott shares that it has been a while since he began to openly share his story. The experience of recounting his tale has been transformative, lifting a burden he carried since he was 28 years old. Now at 71, he looks back with gratitude and a deep sense of fulfillment. He waited many years to tell his story, fearing that it might be dismissed or undervalued. Yet, the overwhelmingly positive response from others has been a testament to its significance. Scott feels blessed that he was preserved by his Father in heaven to share his story at this point in his life. Each day, he revisits the vivid memories of his experience, finding it incredibly real and meaningful. Sharing his story, even in small ways, makes the journey worthwhile for him. In Scott's view, life's true essence lies in the connections we make, the kindness we show, and the understanding we extend to others. His personal experiences have taught him that even amidst life's challenges, there is always room for grace, compassion, and a touch of divine purpose. Does Scott's story inspire you to find purpose and make a positive impact in your own life? Let us know your opinion in the comments below.